Charles P. Steinmetz was an amazing genius in the field of electricity. In the early 1900s, electricity was still a novelty and not well understood, but men like Steinmetz saw the potential for electricity to change the world. Steinmetz was born with several physical and genetic deformities, dwarfism and hip dysplasia, just to name a couple, that left him having a height of only 4 feet tall. He never married and died in October of 1923. He was a quiet, unassuming man that most people have never heard of. But Steinmetz revolutionized the field of electricity, and in doing so, indeed, helped change the world. The story is told of Steinmetz and his amazing talent, and this story involved Henry Ford, who was the pioneer of manufacturing automation. Ford had a problem in one of his factories with one of his big generators that wasn't working properly. And so Ford's engineers called for Steinmetz, who worked for General Electric at the time. They called Steinmetz in to have him determine what the problem was with the generator. And upon arriving, Steinmetz rejected all offers of assistance and only asked for a notebook, a pencil, a piece of chalk, and a cot. Steinmetz then would sit and listen to the generator. He would scribble some computations, and he repeated this for 2 straight days and nights. On the second night, he asked for a ladder and climbed up the ladder on the side of the generator, and he made a chalk mark on the side of it. He then told Ford's skeptical engineers to remove a plate on the generator at that mark and replace 16 windings in the field coil. They did, and upon restarting the generator, it worked perfectly. Ford was thrilled, as you can imagine, until he got an invoice from General Electric for the sum total of $10,000. Ford acknowledged Steinmetz's success, but he balked at the figure, and he asked for an itemized bill. Steinmetz responded personally to Ford's request with the following: making chalk mark on generator, $1. Knowing where to make the mark, $9,999. Ford paid the bill. In the fast-paced world we live in, we can easily forget that pressing problems, more often than not, are solved by slowing down and listening. In Scripture, we have the example of the Israelites as they were pressed up against the Red Sea by the Egyptians. We have the example of Elijah hiding in a cave after he had fled from Jezebel. We have the example of Saul after God blinded him on the way to Damascus, just to name a few. The problem for us humanly is that in the middle of a problem, we see time as an enemy, and so we think we need to fix the problem now. But God gave mankind the Sabbath day to remind us to listen to Him. For 24 hours, we are freed from the cares of this life so that we can have uninterrupted time with God. We have time to read His Word and to ponder how we apply that instruction in our life. We have time to pray and meditate in a way that we don't for the balance of the week. We have time to simply slow down and listen to God. Charles Steinmetz was indeed a genius in the field of electricity, but his talent was augmented by the ability to focus his thinking and to block out any distractions. The Sabbath is a gift from God so that we can do the very same thing. I would encourage you to take the time this Sabbath to simply sit and listen to God.